Okay, so this is the weekend project. Going to transform this kitchen, which is a beautiful kitchen, but the client has a little different taste than the old oak production house cabinets. But we'll see what transforms over the weekend. One quick thing I wanted to point out, most people don't notice this, but these are the cabinet doors. The sound would drive me nuts. We're going to change that. Okay, so we got all the doors off, and some of the trims, the crown molding is going to get replaced, but then some of the trim, like this one here, was going to interfere with the door, so we had to pull it off. But the other side we kept on. So you just kind of have to check which doors are going to interfere. Like this one here was going to interfere, and on the lowers, because the doors are actually all the way, they're going to be a little different than the doors that were there. So we're getting ready to mask. I'll have a few tips and tricks on masking that makes it simple, fast, and let's see how it goes from here. Okay, a little bit of masking tips. If you first put this blue tape along this edge down, that'll give you something to mask to, because these mask from the inside out. This is the sticky side right here, and you'll see why in a minute. But mask down to it, go up to the top, all the way around. I put the blue tape in the top too. And the reason you're putting the blue tape here is because you have nothing to grab the tape to back here. So what you'll do is that'll stick to that, and the sticky side again is on the outside. And the reason for that is when you mask, you want to cover the whole thing, and it makes it a lot easier to stick to this outside tape to tape. Just remember, pressure sensitive tape, so it's got to be stick pressure on it. So when you put that in, push on the backside real firm, or else it's going to come off later. You end up getting paint in the inside on her toaster, and you'll be buying her a new toaster, guarantee it, even if it is your wife, buddy. So be careful. Patience is a virtue here. This is probably the longest part and most tedious part of painting cabinets, is the prep. I wiped them down first with some denatured alcohol. You could also use lacquer thinner, but use it sparingly. It will remove the finish. Acetone works also. You're going to have a little bit of grease no matter how clean the kitchen is. People cannot clean behind those doors that you had removed. So you're going to have a little bit here. And all it takes is one little drip of grease, and you've had a bad day when you're painting. Okay, I'll come back in a little bit. Okay, we're ready to spray the undercoat. We're all masked off. Everything is covered. I know it might look a little overkill, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Plus, you don't want that dust inside the house. Now, this is easy, really. Don't let it be intimidating. Just tape some tape to the top of the ceiling and let it drop down. The plastic is 9 feet, so it works out pretty simple. It just keeps dust out of the rest of the house, because trust me, it will be in the back far bedroom, and you don't want to be the one cleaning that up. But otherwise, it's ready to go. We're going to prime it, wash it down first, again with some acetone, lacquer thinner. Just use it sparingly. Use your PPE, wear your mask, and wash your hands. But anyway, I'll get back to you as soon as I get a coat of primer on it. We're going to use a lacquer undercoat for this one. Being that the undercoat is going to stick very well to the lacquer that's on the cabinets now, and it'll give a really nice smooth finish, and it'll look good. Trust me, I'll show you the difference when we get it done. Get back to you in a minute. Okay, I'm back. They're all primed, ready now to do the hard work, which is the sanding, which is really not that hard. That's why I like the lacquer undercoat. It's easy to sand and it comes out pretty good. Yeah, everything's primed, and so I will get busy sanding, and I'll see you back in a minute. Okay, I'm back real quick. Um, I'm gonna shoot a coat of paint just to see what it looks like. They came out pretty good, but I'm kind of excited to see the finished product on it. It's gonna be white, but you probably won't get that much detail in the video. But I'm excited to get a color on it. See you in a few minutes. Okay, I got on what I call a tack coat. It's that first coat that just kind of grabs everything, gets a bond to the primer, and then you let it tack up a little bit. That way the next coat you can really load it on. It'll hold and it won't run. But you know what? I'm pretty impressed with this this paint. It's from Home Depot. It's our cabinet and trim, and it hangs really well. I could almost go ahead and put that thick coat first, but I think I'll just stick with my tried and true method of a tack coat. Let it dry a little bit, just towards not all the way dry, but dry enough that it'll hang a little bit. We get a little close up of it. Well, I don't know if you can see very well, but it's just now starting to get what I call tacky. The gloss on it is just because it's wet. The customer wanted a satin finish, which I got to agree is going to look really good with the style of cabinets that these are coming out to be. But I'm going to go ahead and let it tack up a little bit more, and I'll put a couple more coats on, and then we'll let it dry overnight before we start disassembling the masking and putting the doors on, and then we're just about complete. See you in a little bit. Okay, so I have a tack coat, and I put 2 finish coats on, letting it dry a little bit between each coat. And I think I'm going to quit here because I'm afraid I'm going to get a little too overzealous, and we'll start running and get sags and whatnot. So we're looking really good. So what I'm going to do now is just let it dry overnight, and tomorrow we will hang the doors. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the materials. Okay, so I sanded with 220 sandpaper. Just for some information, the lacquer undercoat, it's getting harder and harder to come by these days. I found it at Sherwin-Williams, still has some. It's not the quality it used to be, but it works still pretty good. And the reason, like I said, the reason I used it is for that build. What it does is, back in my old days when I worked on cars, you put the material on, it has what's called a high solids. So when you sand it, it kind of helps you out with all those little imperfections and whatnot. The oak has a definite grain to it. I don't know if you can pick it up in the video, but it's got a grain to it. It's really hard to get rid of. The cabinet doors were made with poplar. So the grain on the poplar is a little bit smoother. I don't know if you can catch it in the light there. Some of it, I got a lot of build on there and it's still wet, but you'll see the grain after it dries out a little bit. Some people like that. I personally like it. But this build, this particular project, she didn't want to see that oak grain, which, like I said, I think she has really good taste, because with the new style doors that she's going with, the shaker style, it looks better with a flat finish, almost like a plastic covering on the finish, which, like I said, with that it does look good. But in my personal home, I used the oak plywood, the oak doors, to give it that little bit of grain look. But then I used a different panel inside the door also. I used a lap joint panel in there, so it gave a little bit. But that was like 20 years ago, so things have changed. The doors nowadays that are the shaker style is getting really popular, the slick look, and like I said, her taste, I have to agree, will look good in this kitchen. Now this island here is going to go a dark gray, almost a charcoal gray, which the color is actually called black, but it's a charcoal gray, which I think will really look good. just give the kitchen a little bit more pop with the white cabinets, the charcoal gray island, and then I think they're even going to go with some new countertops. But I don't know if you remember from previous videos, but she's got the white backsplash tile, which will go good. But anyways, materials. I get off track here. 220 sandpaper, lacquer undercoat. It's reduced now with acetone, which was kind of odd, but that's what it called for. I reduced it a little bit. I put three good coats, maybe 4 coats. I can't remember right now, but I know it was at least 3 coats of the undercoater on there. And like I said, it gives it a really good build, makes it easy to sand, and the finish comes out really good. You'll see it on the doors, especially because the doors have the poplar wood, so it came out even smoother than I can get with the oak. Now I could have went to some serious effort into filling the grain, but that's a job in itself. And these cabinet doors, when you shut the cabinet, you won't see any of the stiles and rails, the cabinet frame, when the doors get attached. So I don't know that it was that critical to spend that much to cover that grain when nobody's going to see it. The finish coat, I think I mentioned earlier that it was a Home Depot brand, which is what they call their cabinet and trim, I think. I'm kind of impressed with it, to be honest with you. Painting as many years as I have, you know, Home Depot's had to buck up to their materials, and they've done it. Some of their materials, like I said, are they've been impressing me. Some of the bigger manufacturers, Den Edwards, Frazee, and all those, they're having some big competition with Home Depot's paint. And let me tell you, it's some good competition. But anyway, I like to try different products and just to kind of experiment. And like I said, this one did. It hangs well. It dries well. I'm assuming it's going to be durable. They call it their cabinet and trim, so I'm really hoping for the durability. What else did I miss in here? Oh, the hinges. We're going to change out the hinges to a self-closure also. Just makes the cabinets a little bit nicer. It's kind of pricey. Buying all new hinges, and I say that this kitchen's pretty, I'm not going to say small, but it is. It's relatively small, so there's not a whole lot so it was worth the upgrade. The hinges that were on here, they were the European style hinges, the hidden hinge, which is good because then I don't have all those little holes to fill where the hinges were. So what else? Let's see. Masking materials, pretty basic. That tape that I was showing you, the blue tape, really isn't necessary. I don't know that there's much difference between, they say it gives you a better edge. I don't know that, but it is an easy release, which means if I was sticking it to wallpaper or something like that, I wouldn't have to worry too much. But the 2-inch tape to go around that door that sticks on the backside, and then of course your masking paper tape, and then I plastic for here and there, and I use on the floor. I use their construction paper. It's their red paper. I think it's like $6 for a roll. It's well worth it because if you try walking on plastic, it sticks to your feet. It ends up pulling away from the cabinet, and then you end up getting some paint on the floor. Inevitably, you will drip paint on the floor. I've been doing this for a long time. It's going to happen. So when you step on the plastic, it sticks to your feet, and then you've got a mess to deal with. It's like a fly trap. What else? I guess if I find something else, or if you have questions or anything, just drop me a little note, and I'll try to answer it. So tomorrow we will, this is day 2. Tomorrow we'll go start assembling the cabinets back together. I don't think it'll take but maybe half a day or a little bit better. Now the trim on the top, I've got still making that in my shop. That's going to go on afterwards. The doors. Oh yeah, the doors. Everybody's probably wondering about the doors. The doors I made in my shop. It was a lot simpler. of course, rather than making them in her living room. But I also painted them in my shop, and that way I didn't have to deal with too much of the smell and the mess here. Then I brought them here. Now the doors were made with a table saw only. Um, there's no nails, no fasteners whatsoever. There's a table saw and some glue, and it's old school. I learned cabinetry back when I think I was, I mean, in my 20s, and that was a long time ago. So the cabinet shop that I worked for took a lot of pride in the fact that he used no nails. He even built his frames and styles with no nails. He used dowels and glue. But anyway, the cabinet doors are really simple to make. All you need is a table saw and a sander, of course. You don't need a sander, but it saves a lot in your fingers in the long run. But if you want, leave me a note, and if I can do a video on that. They're, like I said, they're pretty basic, pretty simple. You just, but anyway, leave a video or a note, and I'll do a video. The piece of cardboard you see up there on the top, I just use that as a shield. Probably been wondering what the heck's up there on the top of the guy, but I just use that as a shield so I don't have to mask all that stuff on the top. And then, like I said, the crown molding is just going to be a real simple, flat European style crown molding instead of the crown molding that people tend to see. Crown molding, kind of the same stuff that's on the ceiling there, that you see up on the ceiling. It doesn't really match this style of cabinet, so we're going to just use a square stock crown molding. It'll look nice. Anyway, see you tomorrow.